Wagwan listeners, and number 52, it's Attack the Block. Welcome to Long Play Video. All right, here we are back in the shop on a nice early autumn Saturday night. Everyone's still going out a
Wow.
little bit, so the shop's a bit quiet.
Yeah.
But still the nights are coming in a little bit, which is the
Yeah.
perfect the perfect atmosphere for number 52 on the list, Attack the Block.
Hmm.
Have you heard of this film at all? Know anything about this film?
I know very little about this film. I feel like if it's the one I'm thinking of, I remember it coming out and thinking, oh my God, I can't think of anything I'd like to watch less. So I'm definitely not looking forward to this.
Let me pass you over the DVD, and you can tell
Let's
me if it
see.
is the one that you
Mm.
thought that about.
Oh, it definitely is, isn't it? It definitely is. And it's weird because on the top of the DVD it says from the producers of Shaun the Dead. And I really like the Cornetto trilogy.
Yeah,
Um, I think, yeah, like without reading anything, I think Attack the Block, I think if I remember correctly, it is a council estate, like kids, and aliens basically invade or something, and they have to fight them off. That's what my mind thinks this is. And I'm like, I
yeah.
can't think of a more stupid idea with more annoying like people. Like it just sounds awful. So
High
yeah.
expectations for this then going into it.
Yeah, but then I look at there's some good people in it.
Yeah.
I think one of the year's most dynamic, stunning, and timeless blockbusters. I mean, that's absolute rubbish. That's from Ultra Culture. I mean, is that just somebody's like Insta handle? I mean, that's
That's
definitely not
they try and get people to call them ultra culture, but it's
Ultra
not
Culture.
it's not picking up. It's
Oh,
topical there. You'll get that after the movie
yeah.
as well.
Oh, will I? Okay. So it says inner city versus outer space. Trainee nurse is walking home to her flat in a scary South London tower block when she's robbed by a gang of Mars hooded youths. She's saved when the gang are distracted by a bright meteorite. I mean, ridiculous already. I hate all this. Which falls from the sky and hits a nearby parked car. Sam flees just before the gang are attacked by a small alien creature that leaps from the wreckage. The gang chase the creature and kill it, dragging its ghoulish carcass to the top of the block, where they treat at where they what? They treat at their territory.
Which they treat as their territory.
Oh, which they treat at their territory. Yeah, I mean, my brain got bored just reading.
It's an awful
Oh,
description, I would say. It is an awful
yeah.
description. You don't even need to bother with the second paragraph. It's not this
I'm
is
not
not
gonna.
this is not the point of the
A
film.
good film.
It's not this description.
It's that sounds awful though. It's like, oh
It does,
yeah,
yeah.
we can be youths and we can just beat stuff up, and then we've got our and I'm just like that goes against everything that I like in life. Like I feel like we should all be nicer humans to each other, and this is like, no, 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 we can all be absolute, twits, shall we say?
Well,
But
it's
yeah,
written and directed by Joe Cornish. Do you know
I just
Joe
saw
Cornish,
that. Yeah,
Adam and Joe?
the comedian. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
So interesting. Okay. So what's on the list then?
Yeah, so I really like this movie. No, so
Yeah.
yeah,
An
so
Andy film.
not an Andy film, but yeah. So I watched this. It came out in 2011, which is quite scary. We
Yeah.
actually it was May 2011, and I remember and have some emails and stuff. We went to see this. We went to see Win Win and Hannah as well.
Oh yeah, Hannah's
So
good.
yeah, so we went to see those three all in the month of May. We wanted to go and see Tree of Life, but that didn't actually come out in the UK. It was delayed,
Yeah.
probably
The
because
dinosaur movie.
the dinosaur movie. So that
Yeah.
was delayed, so we didn't go and see that. But I remember we went to see these three films, Hannah Attack the Block and Win Win, and they're all sort of similar movies, I think, in my mind, where they're smaller budget,
Yeah.
they're kind of unexpected. And
Yeah.
they're quite surprising and like yeah, good in their own way because they're trying to do very different things. Um,
Yeah.
and from that, I think Attack the Block for me is yeah is the best of those movies because it
Oh,
it is
you just hold on. You're telling me we could have been watching Hannah, which is such a much better film. I can tell you before I've even seen this. Yeah.
well, you need to go in with an open mind. No, I think you know
Fair,
it's same
fair.
like trilogy, Cornetto trilogy. Like yeah,
Yeah.
great fan of. This is like a bookend of it. Like it's very
Okay.
similar in style, in
Yeah.
yeah, in kind of content, and it is you know in the same way that you have with those. Like it's a not it's not a parody. It's like an
Mm.
homage to like B movies and sort of you know that the way the description that you just gave from the DVD like
Yeah.
that sort of played as a straight movie is an awful movie and this is
Yeah.
and this kind of plays with that but is also funny. Also,
Okay.
it does have a little bit of social commentary, but not too much. It's not too
Yeah.
heavy-handed with it. But it also is a good sci-fi. It is actually a good horror. It is a good action. And you know, in that
Yeah.
in the same way, I think for me, like Shaun of the Dead is good.
Yeah.
Uh, great
Yeah.
film. I think it veers too much to the comedy, even though it then does have sort of a few zombie
Yeah.
bits for
Yeah.
me, like Hot Fuzz gets that balance right, or
Yeah.
not even right. I think it
So
gets it
good.
better because actually it
Yeah.
is still a really good action film, but it's got
Yeah.
that comedy of where it's set. And World's End, I think, is yeah, like a good
Yeah.
attempt, but doesn't quite come together. I think
Yeah.
in the
And
same
can I
way.
just say, I mean, spoilers for anyone who hasn't seen that, but there's a common theme between that and this, isn't there? Like once you introduce aliens, I think there's things start to go wrong. I'm thinking of
Yeah.
the fourth Indiana Jones film as well. It's
Yeah.
you know,
But yeah, and that's the thing, like yeah, what's really interesting with this, and it's difficult, and I also don't want to build it up too much, but like the aliens
yeah,
are
I wouldn't
really good in
worry.
this. Like the aliens, the way they do the aliens is actually really
Yeah,
good and really effective, and yeah, like again, small budget, but
yeah,
so very creative in the way that they do it, and the way that they
yeah,
actually kind of have the aliens kind of come into it. And then yeah, and then there is, you know, this is 2011, right? So this
yeah.
is kind of after the, you know, the stock market crash. I don't even know what we call it
Yeah.
these days. It's been rebranded
GFC, they
a
call
few
it
times.
here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nice. Okay,
Global
The Big
financial
Short.
crisis.
We'll just call it The Big
Yeah.
Short,
Yeah.
where you know there was communities that were just yeah they were just
Yeah.
stuffed right, and they were
Yeah.
just
Decimated.
yeah they were
Yeah.
decimated. So there is sort of that kind of culture. And obviously, you saw if you had the riots around this time, so like the
Mm.
youth, the hoodies,
Yeah.
you know that actually is this is a chronicle of yeah of that.
Yeah. You're
And
not
like Joe
selling this
Coy,
into me more. You're making me
no,
want to hate this more. You're
but that's
like,
the thing.
remember they also looted? And I'm like, yeah, it's a
Yeah.
good point. Yeah. Even less reason to like them and back them.
Yeah, free stuff. Yeah, and as I mean, as we sort of talk about in other films, like having like good guys and bad guys, this is
Hmm.
not that. This is about the grey area in between, and like, okay, yeah, are you more scared of young people in with hoods or
Yeah.
aliens? For most
A.
Daily Mail
Definitely
readers,
A.
yeah,
Yeah.
you know that
Yeah.
is yeah that is the point. And there
Yeah.
are yeah there are a couple of pieces of this that's yeah like that's bringing that up.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think
Okay.
it has got something to say, but it doesn't lean too
Yeah.
heavily into it. There was so like a lot of the language, which I know that you probably won't like, but the language is like researched. Joe Cornish actually sort of
Yeah.
talks about going around to the estates and sort of just basically
Yeah.
describing the story and saying to sort of kids, what would you have said? Like, what would you say in this
Yeah. Yeah.
circumstance? And like
Yeah.
trying to get like as authentic as possible on what, yeah,
Yeah.
on what people do say. And
Yeah.
then at an hour and a half, it
Yeah.
is tight. It does move. Like it is a very much a three act movie. It like
Nice.
it is very well shot and very well put together. Joe Cornish is a very good storyteller and
Yeah.
filmmaker, though he's not done that much else.
Yeah.
But like yeah, it's really tight. It doesn't stick around long. Like
Yeah.
it's a solid three act, 90 minutes, good sci-fi, then like a little bit of horror sort of diced into
Yeah.
it with something to say. And I think he obviously, yeah, got a bit lucky maybe with John Boyega, or saw John Boyega, because obviously he's just electric and yeah, is just really sort of, yeah, the camera just, yeah, focuses on him, and obviously such a
So
great screen presence. So
yeah. So you remember about 10 minutes ago when we started this podcast, you said, I'm not going to build this up too much.
I
Um,
need to
so
defend it, but
do you want to just listen to the last minute? You just pitched this
well,
so hard to me. Unbelievable.
I need to say why I like it. Uh,
Yeah,
but
no,
but
that's
yeah, I
fair.
think like that's the thing. It is funny, and like again, it's it, like it does all of the things, in the movie with a
Yeah,
smile on its face and like with a sort of glint in
yeah,
its eye, right? It knows that it's a B movie in exactly the same way as the Cornetto trilogy, like, and Edgar Wright
yeah,
and Joe Cornish are obviously good friends and sort of have influenced each other. And
yeah,
when Joe Cornish was making this, they were doing the script for Ant-Man, and stuff as well. So like, yeah, it is that same vein, and I would say like
yeah,
that maybe not as the warning, but like that's what you need to come into it sort of knowing, like, it's been made with the awareness of what it is, which is
yeah,
a B movie, but
yeah,
actually like a British, like, really well made, I think, really, like, really good effects for the budget they had.
yeah.
Like, and then they get the characters kind of coming in, and each character has a little bit more depth than you would expect in this type of movie.
This feels like a more modern version of Be Kind Rewind. Like I feel like it's that sort of B movie-esque, but more modern with different, obviously a different sort of genre and a different type of film. But that
Yeah,
sounds what it feels like to me.
yeah.
I'm gonna. It's weird because I feel like I should like this film. Like you said, it's the same sort of ilk as Edgar Wright, and I really like Edgar Wright and his films. It's
What
got
what
Nick
is it that you like?
Frosty.
What is it that you like about the Cornetto trilogy?
I mean, I think it's just as you said, like especially Hot Fuzz. Hot Fuzz absolutely nails, and it feels very similar to Spaced, the TV series.
Yeah,
It's that element of it's realism and it's supposed to be in the real life, but they overlay comedy, and it's just like they just take things that happen in real life, but just are so silly. Like the fact that, in Hot Fuzz, spoilers everyone, it's all revolving around like a local community that has this big, show on, and it's like, oh, it's all very well known, and this is everyone, we're all well known for this. This is, everyone gets awards, and I think that's just was funny, and the timing and stuff, and the fact that it's so serious but funny. Like he's supposed,
yeah.
like one of the characters is supposed to be really serious, but he's funny. I think, yeah, that's what I really like about especially Hot Fuzz. So maybe if this is similar to that, I might like that as well. I think I just remember when I saw the trailer and I was like, oh God, I can't think of anything worse. It's like glamorizing being a youth that beats up
An
people,
urban youth.
and and aliens. And I was just like, oh God, no thanks, no thanks at all.
I
But
do,
I don't know.
yeah.
Do you
It
think I'm
doesn't.
gonna like this?
I mean, the way you said, and I think you said on before a previous podcast, where you're like, oh, I hate it when you just have a bunch of kids talking street language and you can't understand it. And I was like, ooh, in a couple of weeks' time, there's one
Yeah,
coming down. I
it's
mean,
gonna be tough.
like, yeah, like, the language, but again, I think that the language is. it's not
Hmm.
making fun of it, but like
Yeah.
it's sort of the way that I take it, and maybe this is
Yeah.
just sort of me projecting onto it, but the way that I take it is
Yeah.
like is the fun that you have, the fact that is this whole other language that you don't know anything about because you're out of touch, or you're just you're too old or something like that, and it feels like this is for me the tone is kind of like that. It's like this is all going on, but it's
Yeah.
sort of we're on the outside of it almost as the viewer.
Yeah.
That like so it's just sort of funny because it's almost so over the top. So there's so many times, and like
Yeah.
lots of people will say, oh, I had to have the subtitles on, and you kind of like, yeah, but that's kind of why it's funny is to
Part of the
sort of
point.
almost
Yeah.
to do the whole film with that, so that
Yeah.
so that that something else is going on, and you're
Yeah.
not a part of it, and you don't actually know what it is, but there's a reason, right? There's a reason why every generation comes up with new language and new words, right? It's to
Yeah.
yeah, kind of give themselves
Yeah.
some control of the situation, and to have something
Yeah.
that's their own
Yeah. Their own
rather than
identity.
something different, right? Yeah. So
Yeah.
and I think that's the thing. This film is aware of that, and so like the especially there was one character who's sort of trying to sort of get in on it, but then just can't like that. So
Yeah.
there's like there is that sort of comedy aspect to it that like me and my wife sort of after watching it and stuff would use some of the words like and some of the phrases just because it's so ridiculous us using them because
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
not we're not from the
Yeah.
block, so
We're
like
not from the block.
that's
Yeah.
kind of the thing, but like at the same time like it's that really that balance to then not just be sort of punching down and making fun of the people that this is how they speak, and that like this is the language, and this is their
Yeah.
circumstance, right? Because it's a and that's where sort of the social commentary comes in, is that there were, especially
Mm.
at this at that time, and actually still now, there were places where you were so much more challenged to get out of there because
Yeah.
you don't have the
Yeah.
same
Yeah.
opportunities that other people do in other areas of the country, right? And it sort of is aware
Yeah.
of that, and so then it plays with that, not in a mocking way, but
Mm.
in a like, there's there is a reason why this is, and like
Yeah.
these characters, their arc doesn't start in a good place, and it doesn't
Yeah.
glamorize it, and it does show the fear that they can create, and for a very good reason. And
Yeah.
actually, like for a lot of people, the opening sort of 10 minutes was actually too much, and I think like
Yeah. Okay.
interestingly sort of turned a lot of people off. So I'd be really interested to see what you
Oh,
think about that, but
can
like
I
that's
can I stop
that's
watching after
about
10 minutes then? Is that the
you
that's the
you have to
option?
you have to watch it all the way through because
So
like it's
so
a character arc, right? It's an
yeah,
arc, so
you are
yeah.
all over this like nobody's business.
I
You're
think
selling this
I
in
think
so hard.
what, when people
Yeah.
come over and they're like, let's watch a movie that I haven't seen, especially
Don't say
non
you can't say you're gonna put this on. I feel like I could go back and check every podcast and you'd be like, yeah, yeah, when people come over, I always put this film. They all want, and
es,
it's in
es,
every film we've ever reviewed.
especially
It's
for
like they have to
non-British.
watch your entire top 100.
When someone says, "Can we watch a film I haven't seen?" You see my wife just be like, "No, no, oh no,
Don't
gonna be
ask
we're gonna be
that.
here for 4.5 weeks now. We're going through the whole 100."
Yeah.
No,
Yeah, yeah. So let me
especially
start
for
off with
non
this one.
especially for non-British people, it would
Yeah.
be Cornetto trilogy or this, because I think
Yeah.
it's
Okay.
again it's a smaller film, but
Yeah.
it hits a lot of beats. It's got something to say. It is funny,
Yeah.
but it
Okay.
is it is a B movie, but it's also a good B movie. And like
Mm.
the things that it's an homage to, it's a good version of that, which I think is why the
Mm.
Cornetto trilogy is so good. Is that Hot Fuzz is a good
Yeah.
action movie, and actually Shaun of the Dead is a good
Yeah.
zombie movie, and The
Yeah.
World's End is a passable
It's a
like
good
body
drinking
snatchers.
movie. Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
passable.
Well, I'm interested to see. I feel like I'm definitely not gonna like it. It's 128 1 hour and 28 minutes. That's not too
Yeah,
bad.
it's tight.
Um
90 minutes.
yeah. Yeah, that's
No.
not too bad. That's pretty good. And it does feel like it'd be very British. So yeah, that might be quite nice to see. But I'm not holding out too much hope for it. And I feel that's been backed up with the fact that you've sold it in hard. That I'm like,
Well,
wow, definitely. I
I
feel
mean, it's
like I've
number
got good luck this
52 on
now.
number 52 on the list, so it's not like I
No,
can
well,
just be
mate,
like, yeah, it's all
uh,
right.
I'd save some because I know the rest of the list, and I think save some in the tank. We've got some rippers coming up as well. So yeah, no, I think it'll be interesting. When was the last time you watched it? Have you watched it fairly recently?
Yeah, I have. I watched it
Okay.
maybe a year ago, funnily enough, with Sam when he was over.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay. Nice.
and he liked it. I think he fell asleep during some of it, but it was late. He
Yeah.
liked it though.
He was just being nice. He was like, "Of
I mean,
course
he'd
I
never
like this,
seen
Andy."
Clueless, so
Yeah. Yes, that is true. I mean, he's an American who hasn't seen Clueless. I mean, can we trust his view? Um.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it
All right.
still stands out. And I've watched it quite a few times. I would say it's at 52 rather than higher
Mm,
because I think there's a limit to the amount that you can watch it. But I do think it does
yeah.
have something to say. I think like now, obviously with John Boyega and Jodie Whittaker, right? Obviously both
Yeah.
went on to like massive sci-fi roles after this.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
John Boyega's brilliant in it. Yeah, he's so I think he's so sort of good at just
Yeah.
sort of cinematic and like I'm trying to think of a non terrible way to say the camera loves him, but I think he's so photogenic. I think he like dominates any frame that he's in any of his movies. I think he's got a real
Yeah.
presence. And then Jodie Whittaker is maybe character's not that much drawn out, but does really well.
Yeah. So, do you like this guy that much because he's also in Star Wars and you're a huge fan of Star Wars?
I mean, I think he does all right. Obviously, he fell out with Star Wars, with Disney because he kind of
Oh, really?
he criticized it a little bit. But
Mm,
he was
you
I think
can't
he's
criticize the machine. The
exactly
machine will take
But I
over.
think he is good yeah in what are
Yeah.
maybe challenging movies to be good in. So
Yeah, yeah, like a Pacific Rim Uprising.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But no, obviously,
Yes.
like, went on to Small Axe, which he's brilliant in. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, who's in The Woman King is a smaller part. Woman King, if you've not seen that, is an awesome film. Um,
Yeah.
really, really good
That
film.
definitely that definitely doesn't look like a film that I'm going to enjoy.
Yeah,
But
it's not on the list,
well,
so
let's
you'll be
before
fine.
before we go to another film that I'm not going to enjoy, let's clear one off. All
You need
right,
to,
let's make this happen.
yeah, well, I mean, you've done your predictions so much. I don't think I can, I don't think I'll bother going to the room, disagreeing with you. But
Yeah,
yeah, low expectations, I think is a good place to be. And then, uh,
yeah,
yeah,
for you.
have
Yeah,
some faith. Have some faith that like, go in with somewhat of an open mind, or
yeah,
at least, the ability to be persuaded, I think.
yeah. No, I do think because it does a very similar sort of ilk of the Cornetto trilogy. So I am
Yeah.
open-minded about it. I think I just remember seeing the trailer and thought, oh, this was horrific. Why would I watch
But
this?
but that's the thing. Like
But if
it's
it's a
it's
tongue in
not
cheek,
it's not
yeah,
it's like it knows what it's doing. Like it's
yeah,
like and because of that, I
yeah,
think there's some quite funny bits, and there's also some
yeah.
some not funny bits. So like it's good.
Well, I mean, when you said it like that, I mean, that should be the quote. That's the quote of the day, isn't it? Get
Yeah,
ready,
and
everyone.
then
Strap yourselves in. Join us for some funny bits and some not funny bits as we hunt down after a year of doing this at number 52. Enjoy some funny bits and some not funny bits.
it's the podcast all over. Right. Well,
It
we'll
is.
we're gonna get on.
Yeah.
Get yourself some M&Ms, and
Think. Yeah.
relax yourself down, and yeah, we'll see
All
what
right.
you think after the jump.
So I'm gonna say random for now, but I'm still. I mean, I only actually watched this yesterday,
It's still
as
in
you know,
shock.
because I'm still in shock. Yeah, I still don't really know what to make of it. I don't know if I like it or dislike it. I don't think I disliked it, and I don't think I loved it. And so I'm trying to work out what did I like, what didn't I like, and I don't think there was much I did particularly like, but I just yeah, it's just a bit weird, isn't it? It's just a bit
I
strange.
mean, you went in like thinking that you were gonna hate it. It was all of the
Mm,
like, you sort of
yeah,
said, the hoodie culture and glorifying
yeah,
it, and yeah, like everything that you had read
mm,
about it was that you were going to
yeah.
hate it. So I guess like random and indifference is a step up.
It's definitely a big step up. And I think you're right. I was thinking, oh, it's going to glorify it. And then with aliens as well, it's just like, Jesus, why have they just added aliens in as well? It felt like that was an afterthought. But actually, I mean, obviously you've seen the film, so you know this, but the description isn't the same as the film. Like it is
No,
actually
no,
just sort of like
it's a really bad
an
description.
action film. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. And so it is basically an alien action film, you know?
yeah,
And if you think of it that
yeah,
way, it just happens to be using teenagers instead of adults.
yeah.
So I think from that perspective, that's what I kept trying to think of, thinking, oh, if these were just adults, would I feel any different with this film? And I was like, yeah, I don't know. I don't think that the actors were bad, the teenagers, or they're probably in their 20s, I guess, probably when they filmed this. But yeah, it's just a bit weird though, isn't it? It's just a bit strange. Yeah.
Like yeah, having watched it again and having watched it quite a lot as well. I just
Yeah.
again, it is just it incorporates lots of different things, and I think that's why I like it. Like the horror
Yeah.
bits are actually like
Yeah.
pretty horrific. Like when they
Yeah.
rip out the guy's throat, when they
Yeah.
finally get hi hats, when they like the helmet like
Yeah.
flying off and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like it is actually quite shocking and almost more shocking in some ways that it's kids. Because I think like
Yeah.
usually with kids, you would say, okay, well, actually they'll be fine. But
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
violence towards the kids is as bad as anything. So
Yeah. That's true. Yeah. Yeah. You're right. The horror bits were good. And I did think the monsters looked good as well. Like
yeah,
it's an interesting concept because obviously everyone has their own ideas and thoughts of what an alien is, what an alien would look like. But I thought I liked that they just went with something that's different, but it was achievable for them to create. It meant that the monsters or the aliens could move fairly rapidly, which obviously was helpful in this sort of, action horror type genre. And then
yeah,
the glow in the dark teeth, I thought that was actually really clever.
yeah.
That it just makes it look really cool.
Don't think
Yeah.
those are their eyes puffs.
Yeah. So yeah, I thought, yeah, and I think they built the tension well. The horror scenes were
Yeah.
good. Um, so yeah, there was lots of good things about it actually. And yeah, I think the core sort of group are pretty good. And then like the supporting characters, like the two like actual kids,
Pops in mayhem.
was Pops in my head, yeah. They actually were pretty funny. I liked
Yeah.
them. They were good. They were
Yeah.
good sort of like relief. And then obviously you just get introduced to other characters as you go along as well. So yeah, it was it was enjoyable, but yeah, I don't know. There's still it's just a bit random.
I think it's also
Mhm.
it is, as I say, like the three act play or three-act movie, like it moves
Yeah,
pretty quickly, right? Because you sort of
yeah,
you start and obviously they've killed the first alien pretty quickly, but like obviously you have the
yeah,
mugging. It's interesting listening to an interview with Joe
mm,
Cornish, and
yeah,
he said that the studio really, really didn't want Moses to pull a knife. They were like, yeah,
yeah.
like the
Okay,
mugging is fine. And he said, if he pulls a knife, then you lose everyone. And he said, like, but I was really insistent. He's like, that they were probably right. He shouldn't have actually pulled a knife because that's like, it just takes it that step and has like obviously associations in the UK, especially in London, especially like
yeah,
knife crime and stuff like that, right? And so
yeah,
I think, but I think what it just does really well is that instantly after that scene, or
Yeah.
like once they've got the alien, like they're all then on the phone, like, you know, talking to their mum. Like one of them's like, yeah, I had pizza, now you gave me the money. Like you know,
Yeah.
it's sort of already they're starting to roll back, like exactly how old are these kids, and like what
Yeah.
is going on, and almost
Yeah.
Moses all the way through is like sort of, you know, acting the tougher and stuff like that,
Yeah.
and is sort of, yeah, the ringleader, and he's a lot more quiet than everyone else, and it's, I think that's why the sort of the reveal then at the end, where he's got like, you know, Spider-Man bedspread, and he's got his little like toy soldiers and stuff, and she's like, do you have a younger brother?
Yeah.
And he's like, no. And then she's like, how old are you? And he's like,
Yeah.
15. She's like, oh, you look older. And
Yeah.
I love the fact that he's like, thanks. Like he
Yeah,
thinks
I
it's a
know.
compliment.
It's the only time when you're grateful to be called older. Pretty soon after that, you're like, what?
But yeah, and
Yeah.
again, like he just, yeah, John Boyega just, yeah, like just I think he's just so good in it, and is just so,
Yeah.
because he again, he speaks very little. He probably has the least amount of chat, like when all the people are together, like, you know, he doesn't say anything until like she's running off, and he's just like, allow it, and that's it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I
Yeah.
think he's great in it, because he's just got that such presence on screen that you can
Yeah.
kind of like, yeah, I even remember that sort of the first time watching you, just like, wow, who's this guy? Like, yeah, okay,
Yeah.
he's gonna go on.
Yeah. And then at the end, when he says he's 15, like, he's 15. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean,
He's
he
gonna
was
be good.
19. He was 19 when
Yeah.
they filmed it, but yeah, it's
Yeah.
yeah, no. So yeah, and that's the thing. Like, it does have its funny parts. It's, yeah, it moves so quickly, I think, because it, like,
Yeah.
I sort of, without credits, it's almost like 120 minutes. So it
Yeah.
is like short and doesn't hang around, but there's funny bits. I would say that the only bit that sort of drags a little bit is the scene where they're trying to get into the weed room, and it's all smoky and stuff like that, and they're trying to build up the horror and the sort of the jump
Yeah.
scare of the guy getting dragged away, which is, yeah, which
Yeah.
again is like really like well, that's legit horror.
Yeah.
Sort of see him getting dragged away
Yeah.
by it. And I think they just do the like, they do the sort of, yeah, the setup of why they're being chased, and like the gradual realization super well.
Yeah.
Like, you know, the and then the social commentary as well. Like they don't sort of heap it on, I don't think. But there is
No.
that, like, okay, well, you know, they sort of say to Moses, like, well, you know, actions have consequences. And so, yeah, after with, again, I think the girls are brilliant. And
Yeah.
the little group of girls, especially when, yeah,
Yeah.
the first time you meet them, and she's just like, oh, you're such a bad boy, and they're like staring at each other, and like, yeah, they have great
Yeah.
chemistry. And then
It's
she's
quite
like,
funny. It reminds me of like you know, in Greece when they got the pink ladies, and it's like the complete,
yeah,
almost like the inverse or an updated version of that. And I'm
Yeah.
like, because that they do a whole scene there, don't they, when they're on the bed, and then this whole scene they do a whole
Yeah.
scene here when they're on the bed. And I thought, oh wow, it feels the same, but it's very different at the same time.
Yeah. And that's, yeah, like when they're all talking about it, and then, yeah, he sort of said, oh, you know, they probably, like, the government probably sent them in, and he has his sort of his chat, and then they all laugh at him, and like, yeah, so they was
Yeah.
getting serious, but then they pull it back, and like, yeah, then obviously, like, yeah, with the police just sort of going after them all, and, you know, Doctor Who
Yeah.
having to say that actually, no, they're my neighbors, and yeah, don't
Yeah.
arrest them
Yeah.
and stuff. So
But
yeah,
they still get
yeah.
arrested at the end anyway. Like, you're like, oh, okay. Because they don't say, oh, okay, these are the wrong people. Oh, sorry, we'll go and let them out. They just close the door.
Well, he does take the lift with the sword with all the dead bodies in. So I mean, I would have probably taken the other one.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. There was a point when I think one of them's about to use a baseball bat. There's one of them left, and I'm like, why are you using a baseball bat? There's a sword around. Like, obviously, a sword's me better. And B, you know, if you're about to die, definitely use a sword before you use a baseball bat. You know,
But then that's
I'm going to die.
but then he hits the guy around the head with it rather than stabbing him, which would have been a bit more gruesome. And I love the fact that like the guy's and the guy's like, why did you do that? Like he thinks he hit him for a reason.
Yeah.
So
he's just completely high the whole thing. That was funny. Like that guy becomes like the smartest person in this movie. Like the guy that's strung out on weed like the whole day. He's like, oh yeah, maybe that's about the pheromones. And you're like, what? Where's this guy suddenly like clever?
Well, he did his zoology. He did his zoology at university. But I think it's nice, isn't it? Because he gets his fist bump at the end, and so you're like, oh, that's nice. Like everyone gets what they want in the end.
Which was funny because they had one, it's almost like the reverse of South Park. They have like a token white kid in the gang. Yeah. And I was like, this is funny. Like the white kid still did die. It's like, I was listening to a podcast on it, and they were like, well, is it still all the black kids who die? And they're like, well, no, it is. It's so bizarre, isn't it? Like, why didn't he die? He was actually like primed to be killed. He only just got nibbled. But that was quite amusing.
Lost his leg early on.
Was there anything that you found that watched it this time that you didn't like see before? Or I mean,
no, because I've watched it. I've watched it quite a lot. So no, not really. I think think maybe like John Boyega actually crying when he sort of turns round when everyone else goes out. I don't think. I don't think I sort of caught that he was actually crying. The single tear. I think there's. What I think I also really like about it is that in a way it is very dated to its time, quite sort of. Quite well in a way. It's like it is a snapshot in time, and it's almost not trying to be sort of modern. So and you know, with sci-fi and with horror especially, you can like say, okay, well, this is a film from its time, and it's not about it being like up to date. And I think that's actually I think quite good about it. Like you know, I think it's so funny when he's just like, I've only got one text left. He's like, it's too much madness for one text. Do you remember like having sort of the limits to your plans and stuff like that?
Oh my god, yes. And no time left. Like you've got 1 minute left. And you're like, exactly. What? God, they were awful times, weren't they? They really were.
Yeah, but that's the thing, like, and like, well, it's funny, like they say about the yellow pages. And also like Ron even goes, oh, Blockbusters is shut down, which is nice little nod to, you know, it's all about the independent film stores.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it. That's why the Blockbusters closed down. So
exactly. Yeah, we're taking it away. I would say I loved the bit where they say, oh, let's go and get tooled up, and it's all just sort of like makeshift stuff. And I especially appreciate that because I remember when the Turtles, the first Turtles film came out, and me and my mates decided to make all the weapons, and we got like we had some darts. And so we put 3 darts around the end of a skipping rope handle, and we were using them as like the size for Raphael. And you're just like,
wow. I don't really know if that should have been allowed in a school.
I think we were like fighting each other, and I had that, and like someone we made some nunchucks with some. I think like we actually took the chain off of a door. And then like put 2 pieces of wood at either end of the chain.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Jesus, what was going on at your school? They should have been like, hold on a minute. It looks like these guys seem to be coming in with bruises after playtime. One of them's got 3 holes in their face.
Simpler times.
Yeah, exactly. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
It was interesting watching this film with Nick Frost in it. I'm not sure he really adds much to it, but weirdly, he feels like he's like the poshest person in this movie almost. And I'm like, which is ironic because in like every other movie he's in, he doesn't seem that way at all. So
they wanted the comparison. Maybe I feel like he could have died. I feel like Ron should have died.
True,
that would have balanced things out a bit more. Although I do think it's also funny when he's like, "Is it safe?" And she like shakes her head, and he's like, "All right, best of luck then," and just closes the door.
Yeah, I'm not going anywhere. Good luck.
He does have a few good lines.
Yeah. I think that's the thing. Like they set him up, don't they, with some nice ones. So, well, this is going to be great. How did you describe this to the aliens?
To the other aliens.
To that.
I mean, I just said this is a film that, like most people would agree, if you come to Earth, maybe don't go to a council block in South London.
Yeah. I did wonder. That was one of the things I thought about the questions it asked. Like, should we send all aliens to council estates? Are they just going to get like get killed? You know?
They'll never come out. But I also I really love the way that they use the block, like sort of as part of the movie. Like it almost has that feel of, you know, like a storage container ending. I think we talked about it with Iron Man 3. Like, it's great because then you have like all of the different levels, and you have, you know, sort of things swinging and stuff like that. And you kind of got that with this as well. I think they use the architecture that you know, that is sort of the sort of the brutalist 60 concrete stuff, but with all the walkways and the way that the sort of all of the like the paths and stuff. I think that inside they use the lights just super well, with like the lights being on the timer and stuff like that. And they, you know, going up to the one house with the one flat with a gate on the front and stuff. So I think they really use the geography like super well to make it to just make it so much more effective. And it looks good, almost like it looks good because of that. And I think like obviously like they're trying to make it look bad as well, but I think just the way they put it all together is super effective.
No, I think you're right. Like the key scenes that they have, and then like the kid in the paper recycling wheelie bin as well. It's almost like it felt almost like the A-Team. He's come to the council stand. He's like, right, where are we going to shoot scenes? Right, we've got some bins over there. We'll do one there. And you're right. He just sort of kept everything within the actual block, and obviously then that's where, and as a person who's just watching this the first time, you see how and obviously they mention it in the film, but they're only attacking the block, they're not attacking anywhere else, and obviously you're like, okay, and so he's using that really well, because obviously the whole film it's just this block, so how do I make sure I create scenes within this? So I thought they did that well, and then obviously the use to the fireworks is good, because obviously it's probably one of the things that kids could buy, and not only that, but then you have the smoke left afterwards, which obviously then leads to the horror thriller bit. So I thought the direction was good, and you're right, it kicks off so quickly. I mean, and it's almost like, not that you forget about the mugging, but I mean the alien does immediately, so you're like, oh right, so you don't get too much time to have too much of an emotive. I didn't feel too much of an emotive feel with the mugging. I mean, obviously, horrific and brutal, and it would be nasty. But then it sort of moves on. You're like, oh, okay. So, but what's going on now then? And so you kind of, it doesn't hang around for too long. You almost don't even need it, really. You could have done something else, but I guess he wanted to sort of bring that piece to life.
Yeah, and I think it's the arc, right? I think as well, especially of their relationship. Like, and you know, because I think that it provides like a good sort of comparison between the two all the way through, right? Where they're like, you know, where they go into her house, and then they're like, oh, you know, there's other things for us to be afraid of tonight, and then they kill it, and then again she's sort of thinking, do I go with them or do I take my chances? And obviously, like, you know, with the aliens that she now knows exist, they sort of say, oh, you know, well, we mugged her, but then we saved her life, so we're equal. And they're like, and she's like, oh yeah, heroes. And then just like, and then I think even at the end when Moses sort of says, well, if we'd known that you lived here, then we wouldn't have done it. And that's kind of the thing, isn't it? I think that's really good that it's sort of, you know, that's the, not justice, but like that's the sort of moral code that they have, is almost like where everyone on the block is actually in it together, because we're all here, like, because we're here. So like, if we would have known that you were one of us almost, then we wouldn't have done anything, which I think is great. And I do love the bit where the kid's like, oh, you got boyfriend, you're quite pretty, and she's like, oh no, he's over in Africa helping children, and he's like, oh, is it? oh, he's not helping British children, not
Yeah,
exotic
yeah.
enough, doesn't get a suntan.
Yeah.
And again, like you just,
Yeah.
you know, that's, I think, they do that really well again with the kind of
Yeah.
the commentary of, you know, it's funny sort of,
Yeah.
you know, they're completely right. And there is like
Yeah,
the
it's
moral
true.
grey area that, no one's all bad, no one's all good, which, you know, obviously
Yeah.
we talk about sometimes in movies, you just want someone who's bad because it's just easier.
Yeah.
But at the
Yeah.
same time, like, I think it shows it really well. Yeah.
Interesting.
Did you have, how are you describing it to the other aliens?
Right. Well, let's see how this goes. So I just put,
over 30 words? Sounds like it's over 30 words. You having to clear your throat.
oh, here we go. So I put, you boys land and mess things up, bruv. So
Nice. Yeah, I think it's a very British thing that
yes,
that there are, you know, there is a white kid, and you know, they trying to make it as much about class as it is about race. Even though obviously it's blatantly about race.
Yeah.
But like I think that's it's just but again, like you know, a moment in time, right? And he did all the research, and he sort of said, you know, he got a lot of the language, and actually he said sort of all of the leads, you know, would also sort of they sat down and they talked about the characters, and they went through the script a lot before they started filming, and if they all sort of said, you know, no, we wouldn't say that. Funnily enough, because with the one of the lines was, I just want to go home, lock the door, and play Pro Evo. And they were like, no one plays Pro Evo anymore. You'd definitely say FIFA. So they changed it to FIFA, which is sort of interesting.
God,
so
how out of time is Joe Cornish if you think people are still playing Pro Evo? Wow,
it's just behind the times. So and it's and again, like I think that's the thing. Like for me, I think this could go down almost as a classic, because I don't think it will age, because it is a snapshot of time. I can still imagine in like 20 years time, this film will still stand up as much as any film, because it will be like, this is like an alien horror adventure from 2011, and this is what it was like in 2011. And actually like it doesn't try and be up to date, and actually it will hold up almost, you know, more because of that, because there's no like references to it being current. I think almost I can see it. I can see people coming back to it into the future.
I do think nice reference to one of my favorite films. I do think I think it I don't think there was much that aged it, because it's like a snapshot, like we've said with, you know, other films that we've seen, is set in that time and it represents that time. I thought it would. I think it represents that well. I don't think, there was nothing that I sort of thought that aged it really, other than obviously like you said about the text messages stuff. But as you said, that's just part of the piece of when it's shot. So,
Would you watch it again? Would you
I think
like having
I'm gonna have to watch it again, because I still don't. Okay. I still don't quite know how I feel about it. I'm trying to work out if I definitely like it or not. And if I don't, what is it? Or I don't know. I definitely didn't hate it. It's just random, isn't it? It's very random. It's very British as well. So it's very niche to British people, I think. There was a bit in the US, which there's a couple of things I thought of actually, because they call the police feds, and I didn't know if that was deliberately done for the US audience, because I can't imagine kids calling police feds in the UK.
Yeah, no, I think they do. I think because I think a lot of the slang for police comes from the US, because there's more slang for police in.
You don't think they'd call them like pigs though? I feel like they would be called them pigs.
I think maybe just showing you age. I just think.
Well, my mate's a copper, and he said people say that too quite a lot. But then maybe that's just like old people. Who
just
knows?
old people, That's just 40-year-olds calling him pigs.
Well, I'll look at that. There was the bit where the guy has to, when he's leaving, and the dad's like, "Take the dog with you," and he has to like take the dog with him, and he puts him in his Pizza Go Go little box, which I was like, "Oh, that reminisces Miss Pizza Go Go." And then I thought, and then obviously the dog dies, and I'm like, wow. So is this actually the OG John Wick? So this is where the vengeance begins.
But that kid doesn't last long, does he? He then goes.
No, but Moses does say, I think, for a time that he said, and this is this, and then I'm sure he quotes the dog. Yeah, that was funny. Poor old Pogo. But there you go.
This is what John Wick was based on.
Yeah, can you imagine? You know, I can just picture Keanu Reeves sitting down and watching this and going, so we're going to need more swords.
We need to go more than this.
Was there anything you thought you could change in it, or are you just happy that, like I said, it was a sort of snapshot of time?
Yeah, no, I'd keep it. I mean, I think it, like, especially when you're talking about genre, I think it's so, like, that's what makes it so interesting. Is like there are just still genuinely bits that I laugh out loud at. I was trying not to say that because he says that anymore. There are genuinely parts I laugh at.
People in their 40s.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then there are scary bits, and then the sci-fi is great, especially sort of the couple of times when you close up with the monsters. There is it is suspenseful. There is, it's not a drama, but there is dramatic bits in it, and there is a point to it, and I think that was sort of the override. That's why, like, when I recommend it to people or I watch it with people who haven't seen it. It is a bit of a kind of, frankly, like a what the fuck movie, because it sort of it goes all over the place, but it does also have, like, it does, I think, have a center and a heart and a commentary of sorts. But again, they don't go too heavy-handed on it, right? They don't. I think that's the thing when Moses sort of does his speech. Like, they laugh at him and like, you could, because it's like, well, we're putting this in because actually, like, it's a conspiracy theory, but there's plenty of people that believe them and have every right to believe them. But like, we're going to make fun of it, or almost sort of then make it lighter. And kind of, and then obviously, like, instantly, like, the monster crashes in. They use, again, it's with the block, like, they use the windows and the monsters going on the outside and crashing through windows. Obviously they do it a couple of times, right? And they just do it so well. And that, I mean, especially I think at the end with hi-hats where he's just like, this is my block, and he's like, nah, Bob. And then he just turns around and there's just loads of them. So they've done their research. They knew, they're like, where's the weak point? It's like, well, there's no point going for the doors, but these windows, they're made of paper. Exactly. Let's just go straight through those. I don't want to have to walk up all the stairs. That's, don't have opposable thumbs. How am I gonna press the lift?
I was trying to think what they looked like, the monsters. There was like something that I've seen before. I think it was on like an advert. It's almost like a monster that's like an M, or maybe it's like Sesame Street. I don't know, but
it's either an advert or Sesame Street.
I think, I'm sure it's an advert. I'll try and find it, and then I'll let you know. But the closest thing I could think of was, it was like a hangry honey monster, and that was the closest thing. It's the same sort of, but obviously black, a little bit more mobile. And
he's eaten some fluorescent paint and hasn't brushed his teeth.
It's like with gremlins, like you can't get them wet. It's like honey monsters. You can't get them hangry. This is what happens.
They turn into these. It's not water. It's not water, is it?
No. That's all right. Did you have any characters that you would like to be?
I mean, I think in the entire sort of history of film, there's been great double acts. There's been, Butch and Sundance, Han and Luke, Frodo and Sam. And then we put Props and Mayhem right up there with them. Obviously, I'll be Mayhem, you'll be Props, because I'm always the one that has to lead, So by the sounds of it, I'd be the one with the Super Soaker with full of petrol. And you'd be the one with the lighter. So I think they're great, because they're also like, it is almost an R2D2 and C3PO, and obviously, like, the Hidden Fortress from before that. Like, they they actually give the entire story away, right? Because at the beginning, you know, they're wanting to go with them, and then obviously they see the aliens, and then they see them again, and they're like, oh yeah, they like the aliens. Yeah, we saw them. They ran straight past us, and
Yeah, wow,
like
okay.
that's because they're not after them. And so like, and then they want to hang out with them, and they're yeah, you know, and the bit, even with the bit with hi-hats with the gun, and they're like, he keeps pointing the gun at them, and you sort of see them be like, and then at the very end, like the police have got blankets over them, and they were like trying to like comfort them and stuff, and then they get into the chanting as well. So yeah, and maybe I'll call you props from here on out.
Well, hold on. So if you're the Super Soaker guy, you're props. So I'd be Mayhem, because the guy that was Mayhem was the one that he had a great name, but was a bit like weak, I would say. Oh yeah. So props was the guy who had the less good name but more forthright action. So you get action or you get name. You don't get both. So you got to make your choice.
Tricky. Okay, yeah. I'll have to think on that.
Have a think about it. We might have to do re-pod on this one, I'd say, after I've watched it again, and then I might hate it, so who knows.
I'm not going to commit too early. I'm just going to have to think.
So classic.
Mayhem was in Last Night in Soho as well.
Nice. Oh right. I'm not saying that.
He must have met Edgar on this.
Soho. Yeah, okay. Keller, we got to get onto the lines. Some banging lines in this. There's some classics. What did you have?
I mean, I think when she says, Moses, when did you start going out with your maths teacher? It's a classic.
That must just be our age, because I wrote that down as well.
I think it's funny where they say, what's one's weed room? It's a big room, lots of weed, and it belongs to one. I love the with the stoner. I love, he said, oh, I can't be busted again, and he's like, oh, you've been busted. He said, well, no, my dad caught me. He cut off my allowance. You know, I've got to pay the rent. And he says, well, you live at home. He's sort of like, well, proverbially. and then he's like, oh, you know, well, yeah, no, you got to put food on the table. I mean, proverbially. I just think that entire back and forth is funny. And then I do like it when they smash into hi-hats, and then his mate says, oh, that ain't police at the wheel, that's youths in there. I always like a good use of the word use. Obviously second best in film history behind My Cousin Vinny. So
well, I mean, what a film. I mean, I'm looking forward to watching that on this list.
It would be a close one. It is a good film. Did you have any others?
Right near the beginning, they say, are you trying to tell me it's raining monkeys? And I thought that was quite funny, because they're trying to work out, what is it? They're like, is it an alien? Is it what?
It's like a monkey had sex with a fish.
Yes, that was a good one. That was when he's hanging up in Ron's bathroom, isn't it? And then Ron says, and it smells bad, doesn't it? And he says, like, you know, smells like a shit did a shit. And that was a good line. And then there was a point where obviously it's an action bit, and they're trying to get through the aliens, and I think it's in the scene where they come through the windows in the girls' apartment, and he's like, kill him harder, like you said, like, he's not dead, do it better. That was quite good. So I like that. But do you think you'll do better or worse? It came out now. I really wasn't sure on this one.
I think it would do the same. I think it would still. I think it would still be relevant. So it didn't do very well in the US, but had a super restricted play, because I think they thought that people would struggle with the language. I think. I mean, it's got like a cult following afterwards, which I think. Proves that. I think it's a good film, and now I think it would do just as well at the cinema. And then obviously, streaming and stuff. I think it's even on Netflix, to be honest with you. So, I'm sure like it does. Yeah, it does get still some views and stuff. Would you agree with that?
Enough. Yeah, I just really wasn't sure about this. I was trying to think, would it do better or worse? I mean, it is a point in time, isn't it? And yeah, I guess you said it didn't do huge anyway, so it probably wouldn't have done worse, I guess. So probably about the same. I can't see it like going gangbusters and being like, oh yeah, this would definitely be better if it came out now. So yeah, probably fair. The same is probably fair.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I'll go then.
No, some reviews first.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
Sorry. The 3-star reviews coming up.
Yeah.
First one was just quite funny. Andrew's wife writing this review, although we just watched it together. It was nice that she didn't want to leave a review on her husband's Amazon account. And for anyone who's following all of his reviews, she wanted to make sure that they knew it was her opinion rather than Andrew's, which I appreciate.
Could this be your wife? I mean, is this your account? Yeah. Are you doing some subtle trying to get some people listen to your go read your reviews?
Yeah, we just go in and leave a link to the podcast and all the three-star reviews of the movies.
Yeah.
Someone else said turned it off after 10 minutes. Not my cup of tea. Seemed to have reasonable production value. So 10 minutes, I checked. So they haven't even met the girls for the first time. Like 10 minutes is literally the mugging, and then they kill the alien, and that like the first alien, and that's it. I think if you turn it off after 10 minutes, you're missing a bit.
Yeah. I think if you know what, I mean, I don't know if maybe they didn't know what they were getting into, but
10 minutes in, just
10 minutes. It moves quickly. I think it's if I mean, at the end of the day, it is sort of like an action, horror, alien, sci-fi movie, right? So if you're not happy that an alien's been killed in 10 minutes, then you're definitely on the wrong genre. So
Yeah, and then a super specific one. You'll either like the characters or you won't, and if you don't, you won't like the film at all. Yeah, thanks. That's pretty much the same for every film ever. Someone said, I've always enjoyed the humour of Joe Cornish and Adam Buxton, and so look forward to watching this movie. To say I was disappointed would be an exaggeration, but I wasn't bowled over. I just didn't know where that sentence was going. To say I was disappointed, that'd be an exaggeration, but
but equally, it's 3 stars, so I wasn't bowled over.
Exactly. And then
3-star reviews are becoming 2-3 star for me. They used to be 5-star reviews that were given 3 stars. What's
you know what? It's lucky
we've improved the algorithm.
And no, again, it's almost like we set this up, but dear listener, we're not that organized. The last 3-star review. The visual style of the film is beautiful. It's crisp, solid, uncomplicated when dealing with the everyday, the mundane. Yet the representation of the alien invaders is stylish, almost reminiscent of the French animation style. It's not just a simple representation. It's not just a financially clever representation. It's a psychological representation that plays on our inner fears, the inner fears held by our inner child. After all, if we're afraid of the dark, afraid of what's under the bed, afraid of what's hiding in the shadows, isn't it scarier when what we're afraid of is as dark as the shadows? Where do the shadows end? Where does the creature start? Magnificent. 3 stars. I mean, I just don't understand how you write that for a 3-star review. Like, because no one's going to read it. And put that. What is that person going to write for a 5-star review? I mean, it's going to have to be like poetry or something.
That was a very good review. That was nicely worded, nicely put together. Yeah, that definitely does feel more like a 5-star review.
Good review. I was reading that. I was like, awesome. So the algo. What did he have?
The first thing I wrote down was no idea. That was my very first thought. There's not really much there's nothing that's exactly like this, I would say. Nothing. So you have to
if you would say like 4 films that like
I'm not going to get to 4, so don't worry about that.
Sum up. It's as funny as, it's as scary as, it's...
Yeah, exactly. It covers a lot of genres. And it's the teenage piece as well, I think. There's not really that many these sort of action-y, sort of horror-y teenage movies. I mean, because obviously you could say Scream, but it's nothing like Scream at all. Apart from, I guess, like some of the jumpy bits. But I wouldn't have said that. So District 9 is what I said, which I think is fairly close. And then I questioned whether some of the Cornetto trilogy, I'm thinking, because you've got Shaun of the Dead, and then you've got obviously like the youths in the World's End. So I was like,
Yeah.
And obviously there is links with Edgar Wright as well. So did think maybe that, but that was as far as I got really. So I don't know. The algorithm might have done me this time.
Yeah, the Agro did all right this time. So, I mean, number one, they actually did Aliens versus Predator, Requiem.
No,
New
not
one.
even that at all.
And in all of them, like Predator features a couple of times.
But there's definitely this could be further from Predator. I think every movie.
I mean, I think I would say that it's like almost a homage to Predator, isn't it? Because like they're getting hunted by an alien species.
I'd give you Alien. It's more like Alien.
How do you think?
I would say
that's not Predator. Because
no,
they're after them, they're hunting them. Okay.
I would say no, but yeah.
Okay. Super 8.
Yeah.
For the
Is
kid,
that just
for the
because
kid,
it's got kids in? Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I mean, there's aliens in Super 8 as well. The Faculty, not a good one. Dog Soldiers. It does. They did have District 9. They did have World's End in there. They also say The Watch, which is. Have you ever seen The Watch?
Is that with Jack Gyllenhaal?
No, it's Ben Stiller and Richard Ayoade. They're like the neighborhood watch people and Jonah Hill and stuff.
That.
Yeah, it's quite funny, but like, no, it's not. It's not the same.
Yeah,
it's not the
No.
same look and feel. But I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. With some Predator, some Super 8. I mean,
it probably won because I didn't come up with enough. I guess.
Yeah, you let down mankind.
Yeah,
and let them
come back.
I've
let down the block, I guess.
You are not from the block. We understand that. So back up to 25-20. So there,
Damn. Okay. Interesting. All right.
It's been a while. It's been 3 films since they won one.
Yeah, it's good. We had a good run.
Yeah.
So it's number 52. There's I'll be super surprised if this gets a nice rounded 0 or 5, but I imagine it's going to be in and around the same sort of number.
No, actually, I think it's going to drop back a little bit.
Okay.
I do really like this. I do really like this film. I think it's a film that I would actually recommend everyone to see because I do think it's got like bits of everything. I think there's going to be something that you'd like to watch in this film. I think it's good. It moves quickly. It is kind of, I think, sort of back in the day, almost the type of film that I would say to people like, "Oh, have you ever seen Attack the Block? Like, you should check it out," because I'd be confident that most people will like something of it. At the same time, I wouldn't say I don't have like an emotional connection to this film.
Yeah.
Like I don't have sort of sort of clear memory of the first time that I watched it. Like, I mean, obviously clearer than my usual, or like the impact that it had on me. So I feel like 50s is maybe a bit high.
Okay.
And then I was sort of thinking as well, because we've got gaps that we're going to have to cover, and the longer that we go on without covering those gaps, the more it's going to have to be films dropping down. So I thought, you know what, I'm gonna put this in at 62. So Fellowship of the just below Fellowship of the Ring.
Yeah. Okay.
So that it's Fellowship of the Ring. Yeah, is a more important and is more of a favorite movie than this movie. Despite I do really like it. I mean, it's still top 60, 62 of all of my films. But just needs to fall down a little bit.
There you go. Wow, who would have thought it? Yeah. Well,
do we have to give you a couple of months to think on it before we know where you put it in your order?
This is unprecedented. I honestly don't know where to put it in the order yet. I don't know. Because I was looking at my order and I was thinking, is it better than this or is it worse than that? And I was like, I just don't know yet. I still don't know. So I think maybe it needs to sink in a bit, and maybe I might try and watch it again if I get a chance. And then I think it's going to be in the okay section. I think. I don't think. Yeah, I think it'll be in the okay section. But yeah, yeah. I was. This is how confused this this film has made me feel. I'm not sure where it is. So
Still confused.
Sometimes these things just happen.
Yeah, just go with it. These. Yeah. Obviously, I mean, it's made you think. It's made you sort of review it and think about stuff. That I don't know. I think that means for me that's like that's a good. That's a good.
You're seeing it as a win.
Yeah, I think that's a good movie, right?
Yeah.
If you kind of like, you don't know how it feels, it didn't,
True.
bit challenging. So
yeah.
I don't need to sell it in. I don't care about your list. These are my movies.
Well, and also you just moved it down 10 places, so you're like, I don't care about this movie as much as everyone thinks I do.
I don't think anyone was. Again, if anyone thinks that I didn't spend sleepless nights putting these in order, it was just a bit random.
So keep it behind the curtain.
Don't reveal the magic.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Cool.
Awesome. I feel like that it's going to be a regular spot now in every podcast. We're going to have to ask you what you think about Attack the Block, and you're still going to be like, I'm still thinking about Attack the Block. Maybe we'll get to like
I'm not sure.
the low 30s before you'll be like, oh, you know what? By the way, Attack the Block's quite good. I actually quite liked it.
I'll put it in somewhere. Yeah, that'll be good. We'll keep people listening. We'll never be sure when it's coming.
The Attack the Block fans.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, there we go. Thank you very much. So that's another one ticked off the list. Means that next week we go to episode 50.
Wow, fanfare.
Which is number 51 on the list. So I'm still not sure whether that's halfway through the list or not.
Don't worry about the maths. I've got this covered. Don't get your blackboard out.
We've done 50 episodes, and I presume we do 100 episodes, so it must be halfway through. But I don't know why that means we're going to review number 51. I just don't understand that still.
Don't worry about the details.
Yeah, and what a classic we have for you next week, which is my favorite quote from this movie is, you should write a song about this. You could call it, "I got punched in the nose for sticking my face in other people's business." To which someone replies, "Sounds like a country song." Love it.
Sounds good.
Cool. We'll see you next week. Thanks to Tom Miller for the theme song. I think we forgot to say thanks for the theme song a couple of times. So thank you, Tom. Cool. We appreciate you.
Yeah.
And we'll see you next week.